Brothers, here is part two. One take AV, his story. Listen up and learn.
Doing a lot of work to try to make things work. I joined this group at my church, and it really started to change me. There were so many things about being a husband that I had no idea about.
I just made a video about Christian men getting thrashed by women in divorce. These Christian men really want wives. They really want to build families, have tons of kids, live that biblical life. But a lot of women, and nowadays, some for some reason, they're not attracted to that.
About honoring your wife and really serving her and serving her needs and serving the greater goods of your relationship. And I really fell off the rocker there. And not that I was a bad husband, but I was learning these things that would make me so much better. And I learned these things and I was telling her about them. And I was like, you know what? I haven't been all that I could be or that I should be. And
And we have to stop doing that. I know it's out of good intention, but as men, we always, it's okay to be like, it's always my fault. But there are those exceptions where it's really not. And we tend to go straight into fix mode rather than just sitting in it and just being present and understanding what's really going on, like what's playing in the field.
even that wasn't really helping. She wasn't really interested in
And it's crazy because when somebody's not interested or they're acting polar opposite like that, especially like your wife or your woman, there's somebody else in the picture. It's not no losing attraction. When somebody's cold, they're turned off and they're polar opposite than what they were when you guys first got together. I'm trying to tell you, there's somebody else in the picture. How do I know? Because it happened to me and I've seen it happen to dozens and dozens and dozens of other guys.
implementing those things into our life. And so I was going to group, I was going there, and things didn't really get better. She started to pull back more and more,
See,
and I was just getting very frustrated at this time.
man, it's
Um,
bad.
a few sketchy things, I use the word sketchy, were happening. She was kind of staying out late at work.
Hmm.
She would go out with
No,
coworkers, but she was never inviting me. Um,
that's a big flag that we got to look out too. When she's going out with coworkers or even just her friends, she's going out frequently and she doesn't want you in the group. It's because there's somebody else coming with her in the group, or if not, she's trying to catch another guy while she's out doing what she's doing. You're not around on purpose. Don't let that go over your head.
she would, it was just very, there was no fight for our relationship at all from her. And
Like I said, when there's no fight, somebody else is in the picture, y'all. Peep dig.
then she started spending more time at work and work and work. And that just became kind of, when you're in a position where you don't know what's going on, you kind of search for those things. I had known that she had a close relationship with her boss,
Man,
and that was something that kind of threw me off for a while. I know that there was a moment when we were standing on our staircase, and I just asked her if she was being unfaithful, and she told me she wasn't. Uh,
right then and there, that is the most emasculating thing a man can do to themselves. Brothers, we have to stop doing that. If we have to ask those questions, sometimes just having to ask the questions answers the questions. If you have to ask, that's your answer. It's not yes. Shout out AV, man.
I was trusting, and I
Man,
believed her at the time somewhat. I was doing a little bit of detective work on my own, all while this was happening.
yeah,
Nothing to the extreme. I will never be that person. I will never be
yeah,
the one that I'm going to trust whoever I'm with. I'm not
yeah.
going to send somebody out to take pictures, anything. I was just doing little things around the house just to, it's more of observation. But I didn't think that things were right. And I knew that they were spending time together. The way that she was treating me, the way that she turned herself off.
And any woman, regardless if her boss is opposite sex or not, any woman that I've been with that's been serious and knows how to respect a man, they understand men and women can't be friends, especially if they're attracted to each other. It's impossible. So you shouldn't even be in the radius of another man or having that kind of one-on-one time. So the fact that you're hanging with your boss and you try to make it a boss thing, that's not okay. That's saying you're not able to set boundaries and you're not serious about the person you're with.
In my mind, there's only one way somebody does a complete 180 with their feelings, and that's if there's somebody
See,
else out there. Even to this day, I do not know if she was unfaithful to me,
took it out of my mouth. Polar opposite actions. Someone else is in the picture.
but either emotionally or physically, in my mind, she was. There was just, um, I don't even know. It was just like I felt it, and I felt like the way that I was being treated and the way that she was kind of disconnecting and where she was spending her time, it just didn't add up. Um, all this kind of came to a stomping ground where nothing seemed to be getting better. I was
Yeah,
going to counseling alone. I
yeah,
really wanted our relationship to work, but there was
yeah,
nothing happening on this side. I
yeah,
was getting no help from her family,
yeah,
and I was just pretty much all by myself.
yeah,
So from there, I was stuck. I didn't know what to do because I was getting no help, but I still wanted our marriage to work. And
yeah.
in my head, I was like, as long as I'm doing exactly everything that I can to make it work, then that's all I can really do. And we kind of came to this point, maybe a month or two down the line, where our
Men, we have to stop doing everything that we can and watch the other person do nothing. There's no way that's going to work. There's no kind of amount of workload or force or intention that you can push forward if the other person's not willing to meet you halfway.
house was just like the worst place to be. It was super awkward. I didn't want to be there. She didn't really want me there.
Yeah.
I ended up having to move out of I moved into a different bedroom.
The same house that he's paying for, y'all, that he said was kind of out their budget. He's now moving out from there. He moved into a bedroom first, so they're in the house. It's awkward. There's moments where in your relationship or your marriage where you start feeling like roommates. This is what he's describing. I remember that. I know a lot of men who can remember that too as well. But this is the moment everything shifts. And then the best thing you can do is go ahead and keep pushing it forward because there's no coming back.
It was just a toxic situation.
Damn.
And there was one day when we were having a conversation where I brought out this list of questions. And this is kind of which was going to help me see what kind of direction I could go in because I was so worried. And a couple of things on that list were: do you love me? Are you attracted to me?
That is the most emasculating thing that a man can do to himself or a woman can put him in that position. If you're asking those questions, that means that's the answer. If you got to ask, the answer is no. The answer is no if you got to ask those questions. Of course, as a Christian biblical man, he's trying to do the right things. But in 2026, there's not a lot of women that actually appreciate this kind of devotion to a marriage from a man.
Do you want to have kids with me? Do you respect me? And basically, all these questions, I got the answer no. And from there, I was heartbroken. I didn't know what to do. And it kind of came to the point where she didn't want to be with me anymore. And I knew that.
Damn,
I felt that.
heartbreaking.
Um, so we ended up doing the process of going our
And you can still tell like it messes with him because like even me, like I did 12 years, so like even at times just talking about it, like there's certain stuff that you'll never be able to shake, but you can handle better.
separate ways. Throughout this time, I had gone to other groups, other counselors, and even when I moved out of the house into my parents' house, I was still trying to fight. Uh, I would try to meet with her. I had wrote her letters.
This is Rocky Balboa. My dog AV is Rocky Balboa for his marriage. This is a man of true strength, character, testing of times, still fighting for what he wants after all the damage that has been done.
With just kind of saying where I've grown up, things in my life, how I would like the things to go. If she's interested in talking things out, even still.
How many of us went back and tried to rekindle, or at least let the thought trigger us into having another conversation, or just leading us down the path of trying to reconnect? And at the end of the day, we found out we shouldn't have went down that path. Comment if you agree, man.
After I was out of the house, and I still got the answer no. The
Man,
one thing that I'll never forget is when I got an email that said, "I've moved on and I think you should too." To me, that just broke my heart.
for a man to say that on a public platform, major courage. I admire you, AV. But I remember when they move on quick, it's because somebody else is in the picture or they've been left the relationship. Even when I left mine, she moved on quick. Somebody else is in the picture and she been left the relationship. So that has nothing to do with your self-worth or your self-value. But understand healing's a process for everybody. It doesn't just change overnight. You don't just move on that quick.
I remember I titled the email, this is like the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs. Like, this is our last shot before we file these papers and we get separated and do all that stuff that I had no interest in doing. But none of that worked. She wasn't
Man,
interested.
man,
And I was going
that's
to have to
great.
go out in this world by myself. And
See, listen, look at his face, y'all. I know this exact feeling. I built a life with a woman. I had kids with her. Not only that, I didn't say I isolated myself on purpose, but like I wanted to be a family man. So like I didn't hang out with my friends as much. It was work, come home, spend time with the family and the kids. So like when that ends, I was like, dang, I have to go out here by myself. Like I don't have nobody. I really never had family in the first place. So that was like really all I had. So you're going to hear like I was terrified, but like just to look in his face, like I know that feeling, and that's why I say we have to have community. Community is huge, even when you're in a marriage, in a relationship. You have to have brotherhood. You have to be out going to meetings where you guys are just talking about life, or if not, going to maybe a bowling event, maybe the batting cages. You have to have an active lifestyle outside of your marriage and your relationship, brothers. Pete Dig.
that terrified me because to me, I was on that path that I always thought I would be on. I thought that I was going in a direction to where um, I was going to have everything that I wanted. So we did end up separating. We did go
Man,
through the year-long process of getting divorced,
man.
and it was just a terrible time for me. I joined this divorce care group, which was like a 13-week group. It was kind of weird.
Pete Dig. He said it was kind of weird. This goes off of my video. Divorced men get moving trucks. Divorced women get villages. The same thing that a woman does after a divorce or after a breakup, they go to community. It's normal. But for a man, society has made it for us to feel like it's awkward or it's weird. It's not. That's just what they want. They know how strong we are in community. But, brothers, this is what I'm saying community, community. Don't isolate.
It was me and a bunch of more older people,
Yeah.
and I got to hear all these stories, but it was definitely good. I
See,
got to get some of my things out, and then I
see,
had to go to
matters.
another counselor because I didn't know how to move on. I didn't know how to evaluate.
He didn't know how to move on because it's not just a breakup, y'all. It's not even just a divorce. Even if it was just a long-term relationship, it's an identity that you build. Most of the time, when we go into our first long-term relationships or even our first marriages, we build our identity around that person. Other than our childhood identity, that's our new identity. That career, being that dad, being that husband. So when we're stripped of that, we never had a true identity before the marriage or the long-term relationship in the first place. So it's way more than just letting go of her. It's letting go of everything that you know and having to start from scratch while the world is still spinning and you still have to show up in multiple ways.